She didn't knock. She slammed the folder on the desk before he even sat down. "Don't bother explaining," she snapped. "We both know you didn't earn that score." The classroom was empty, blinds half closed, the after-school silence heavy. He stood there in front of her desk, backpack still on one shoulder, breathing slowly controlled. He didn't ask what this was about. He already knew. She was the kind of teacher who made decisions before asking questions. The kind whose ego acted first and facts arrived too late. She leaned back in her chair, arms folded, chin lifted with certainty. "You're not capable of jumping from a C average to a perfect exam without cheating," she continued. "I've been teaching for 19 years. I've seen this pattern." He met her eyes with zero panic. That irritated her more. He took off his backpack, sat quietly, and folded his hands on the table. She didn't expect composure. She expected fear. "Look at me when I'm talking to you," she barked. He did, but not with the posture of someone cornered. With the posture of someone quietly collecting everything being said, like evidence. "You will write a statement admitting you copied," she said, sliding a stapled form across the table. "If you cooperate, I won't escalate this aboard." He didn't touch the paper. He just blinked, once, then spoke the first time. "On what basis do you claim I cheated?" She scoffed, offended by the question itself. "Because students like you don't suddenly perform at the top of state-ranking level tests unless something dishonest happened." "Students like me?" he repeated. She didn't even notice what she said. She kept pushing. "You think I'm stupid? You sat next to the honors kid all semester, and somehow your answers match his format exactly? This is textbook cheating. We're not debating it. I'm documenting it." She snatched the pen off her desk and dropped it in front of him like a judge throwing down a sentence. "You're lucky I'm giving you this option quietly and not calling your parents or the board tonight." She expected him to break there, to plead or shake or tear up. He didn't. He slowly unzipped his backpack and pulled out a large seal brown envelope. Thick, official. He placed it gently on the desk. The teacher frowned. "What is that?" He didn't answer. He just pushed it toward her. She hesitated, then ripped it open. Inside was a transfer dossier, stamped, signed on district letterhead. Her eyebrows pulled together as she skimmed the first page, and stopped. Her face changed, not to relief, not to apology, to fear, because right at the top, bold, black, and irrefutable, was a directive addressed directly to her department. Student placement, accelerated academic program, transfer pending federal oversight status, monitored, not to be disciplined or penalized without administrative clearance. She flipped to the next page, her hands now unsteady. The document listed his former school, with attached state rankings, competition winners, and letters from multiple district supervisors. He wasn't a struggling student who mysteriously improved. He was a top-tier transfer with a federal-flagged academic file because he had been part of a state equity case reviewing bias in placement. He was an average kid who cheated. He was the one student she should have been most careful with, the kind who comes with lawyers before he ever walks into the building. Her throat tightened. She looked up at him, now seeing what she had been blind to. He spoke again, still calm, still even. "You accused me without cause. You tried to coerce a false confession. You skipped protocol. And you did while my file is under federal protection." She swallowed. "This," she stammered, tapping the folder. "This doesn't change that the score is suspicious. I have the right to question." "You have the right to investigate," he interrupted, not predetermined guilt. Her jaw tightened at the correction. "You recorded this meeting?" she asked suddenly, suspicion snapping back in. He held her stare. "I didn't need to. The way you handled this is enough." Something in that sentence hit her spine, because she suddenly understood. He didn't walk into this meeting unprepared. He walked in knowing she would fail it. And she did. She reached for the paper she had pushed across the desk. "Try to reclaim control. I'm calling the vice principal. We will handle this through administration." He didn't stop her. He leaned back in his chair as she grabbed the phone, dialing with shaking fingers. She tried to sound composed. "Yes, I need you to come to room 214 immediately. There's been an academic integrity violation." She froze mid-sentence as the vice principal's voice cut aggressively through the receiver, loud enough that he could hear every word. You had a meeting with that student without admin present? She closed her eyes, because just like that, it was no longer an accusation. It was a mistake that now had witnesses, and she was the one under review. The classroom door opened so fast it hit to stop her. The vice principal didn't stroll in, he stormed in. "Don't say another word," he snapped at the teacher before she could speak. He turned to the student first. The power shift was immediate and visible. "Were you questioned without administrative presence?" he asked. "Yes," the student replied calmly. "And I was asked to sign a confession before being shown any evidence." The VP's jaw flexed. He turned slowly toward the teacher, the silence between them violent. "You violated protocol on a federally flagged transfer student." I didn't know he was," she stammered. "You didn't check his file," he cut in. She shook her head helplessly. The VP didn't raise his voice. "He didn't need to. You just put the school in legal jeopardy." Her face drained. The VP gestured to the student. "Bring your file," he said quietly. "We're moving this to the conference room." The student stood, collected his envelope, and walked out, not defeated, not shaken, escorted now like someone whose presence mattered. The teacher followed behind them, walking slower than before, like she had aged in minutes. When they entered, 3 chairs were already pulled out. The student sat. The VP sat. The teacher remained standing. The VP opened the file and slid the top sheet toward her. "You see this header?" he said. "Read it out loud." Her lips moved, barely making sound. "Not to be disciplined or penalized without administrative clearance. And you open with an accusation and coerced statement," the VP said. In private, she tried to recover dignity. "I acted on academic integrity concerns." "No," the VP cut her off. "You acted on assumption." He turned to the student. "We will not treat this as a disciplinary case. You will be exempt from any penalty pending independent review." The student nodded once, no gratitude, just acknowledgement, because he expected nothing less. The VP now faced the teacher fully. "Sit," he ordered. She sat, not as a colleague, but like a defendant. "You will submit a written incident report tonight," he said, "and I will attach this meeting summary. This will go to district compliance, not internal handling." Her breath caught. "Compliance," she whispered. "That's the policy for flag students. You knew that when you renewed your contract." She didn't answer, because she did know. She just never assumed that flagged meant protected, not problematic. The VP opened the transfer file to the back section, the part she hadn't reached in the classroom. "Do you know why he was transferred with federal oversight?" the VP asked. She shook her head, weakly now. He turned the page and slid it closer. She read the bold line in silence, then froze. Because it didn't just say he was in an academic equity case. It said he was a complainant. The student had been part of a legal challenge against discriminatory treatment in his previous district, a case still open, which meant he had lawyers, he had precedent, he had protection, he had history, and she had just repeated the same violation, recorded, documented, witnessed on a federally monitored file. Her voice cracked for the first time. I didn't know." The student spoke, and this time there was no politeness. "You didn't want to know. You decided." Her eyes glassed, not from sympathy, from consequence, because she finally understood this wasn't a bad moment. This was a recorded infraction inside a federal case. The door opened again. This time the principal entered, holding her own printed copy of the file. She didn't sit. She stood over the teacher and asked one sentence. "Did you accuse this student without evidence and without clearance?" The teacher couldn't hide. "Yes." The principal nodded once, like a judge stamping a verdict. "Effective immediately, you are removed from student disciplinary authority, pending review. You are not to meet with any student alone until compliance clears you." The teacher inhaled sharply. That was career damage, not a slap on the wrist. The principal turned to the student. "You will receive a written apology from faculty and a statement, correcting the record for the board file." No teacher had ever spoken to him with that tone. Not pity, not defense, respect. He nodded slightly. "And your exam score stands pending independent proctor review," she added. That line mattered, because she didn't say retest. She said review, meaning the presumption of guilt was gone. An hour later, the teacher sat alone in the empty classroom, head in her hands, staring at the report she now had to write. A report that would follow her, not him. Her email pinged. A notification from district compliance. Subject: federal case reference match found. Incident under investigation. Her vision blurred. She had not ruined his record. She had strengthened his case. He walked out of the building calm, steady, backpack over one shoulder, the same way he entered. Except now, he wasn't the one being discussed behind closed doors. She was. Some accusations break students. Some accusations break careers. Only one of them walked out protected. Only one walked out exposed. And the lesson wrote itself. Never mistake silence for weakness. Some students walk into the room with more power than the person holding the clipboard.